Welcome back for my collection. This is part 8. No, I think it's part 9. I did the Hammer, Amicus, Peter Cushing, all kind of British horror section in the last video. The way I got my closet laid out, I've got war and westerns and action superhero stuff kind of on the top shelf. So I'm going to switch gears from horror and cover the war westerns, and then superhero stuff, and then I'm going to do the Universal, kind of the Golden Age horror section in later videos, followed by all my drama shit, and I've got a pretty extensive Euro Giallo section, Paul Naschy section. So there's still a ways to go. This is the bottom line on it. All right, so let's get started here with my war and westerns. First up is Attack on Leningrad. I did a full review of this if you want to check it out. It was, in summary, it's kind of a travesty. I mean, it would be like if the Oprah Winfrey Channel decided to do a war movie. That's what I think of it. Let's see, up next, American Sniper. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it. Very good. Good dramatic portrayal. Classic film. It's like I don't know, it's a DVR. Is this a DVR? I guess it's a press disc. It's All Quiet on the Western Front. And it does have some bonus features. Interviews and things like that. This is kind of one of the classic of all time war movies. Excellent. Double feature of Apocalypse Now and Hamburger Hill. Great movies. And Braveheart, man. I don't need to talk about this. This is a great movie. Yeah. Certainly you could argue this is Mel Gibson's finest hour. And Patrick Macnee played the king. It was excellent. Awesome stuff. I have 2 copies of A Bridge Too Far, Blu-ray and the old MGM DVD release. Yep, Bridge Too Far. This is kind of a must-have as well if you're into war movies. Battle of Britain, an underrated war movie. This is another one I'd highly recommend if you haven't checked it out. Check out Battle of Britain. Doesn't get talked about a lot, but it's a good one. Battle of the Bulge. Awesome stuff with an all-star cast. Yeah, you can't beat this one. Henry Fonda's outstanding in it. Then I've got a 7-part documentary on the Civil War, the American Civil War. I've kind of gone through some phases as far as my war film watching and historical viewing. Used to be kind of World War II was my thing for a long time. And I really didn't spend much time delving into the Civil War, even though I'm kind of should have done that. But yeah, now I've kind of come full circle, and I've really spent a lot more time focusing on Civil War related documentaries and war movies. But yeah, this is a 7-part series and a good overview of the Civil War. Here's a good little documentary on Churchill, who's one of my, I think he's the greatest man of the 20th century. First off, I've got, I think I showed off some of my books I've got of his. Yeah, kind of a hero worship thing. But this is a documentary about the First World War and Churchill's involvement in the First World War, mainly his naval, his input into the naval side of the British Navy and their impact on World War I. Here's a little gem that I did a review of, Sam Peckinpah's Cross of Iron, one of the few war movies that I know of that focuses solely on the losing side, and this is about the Germans' retreat from Russia. No, I don't know any other movies that cover that topic, but this one is kind of must viewing if you're interested in World War II, in particular the Eastern Front. Yeah, that's a good one. James Coburn, great. A little old for the role, I thought, James Coburn, but yeah, still good. Dirty Dozen, comic bookish kind of war movie, but a classic. I mean, you got an all-star cast, you know, Lee Marvin. Got 2 copies of Deer Hunter, of course, the old DVD and then the Blu-ray upgrade. Yeah, Deer Hunter is a classic film. Great Robert De Niro film. Christopher Walken's amazing in it. Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove. Really, probably, you could argue, I think you could make a stronger argument this should be in my comedy section, but it's about war. It's a comedy, but okay, whatever. It's in the war section, all right? So there you go. It's a great movie, though. Oh, this is one of my favorite James Coburn westerns, Duck You Sucka. Love this movie. Gotta check this out if you like spaghetti westerns. Duck You Sucka. Here's a Italian spaghetti western, Face to Face. Pretty good little Kino release here. One of my favorite Clint Eastwood movies is Firefox. This is a double feature with Heartbreak Ridge. I love Firefox. Yeah, I mean, where he tries to penetrate Soviet airspace to basically steal their latest technology. But it's really a lot of fun. Good movie. I think this is a classic, Enemy at the Gates, which is kind of a covering the Battle of Stalingrad when you've got the 2 expert snipers that are going after each other, the German versus the Russian. Excellent, excellent movie. I enjoyed it a lot. This is a classic, Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket. Not much can say other than the first hour is epic. The Marine Corps boot camp is epic stuff. Fury, great Brad Pitt film. Love this film. Where he's a tank commander. This is a great movie. Love it. I did not like this. This is the Civil War film Glory with Matthew Broderick and Denzel Washington. Yeah, I think it's way overrated. It reminds me a lot of Attack on Leningrad, where you take a lot of name people and put them in a cozy little setting and call it a war movie, but this is bullshit, I think. Lee Van Cleef and the Grand Duel in Keoma. And Keoma is a classic spaghetti. Both these are classic spaghetti westerns. Got 2 copies of The Great Escape, one of the greatest Steve McQueen, certainly one of the greatest war escape movies of all time, and greatest Steve McQueen movie of all time. Great Escape, must viewing. Awesome Steve McQueen movie. High Plains Drifter, Clint Eastwood. Love this movie, as does most people that like spaghetti westerns. Kind of basically a revenge story. Hurt Locker, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not in love with it. And here is a classic. This is the Killing Fields. Yeah. In a digibook. Excellent movie about the Vietnam War. Another spaghetti western double feature. This is Last Gun and $4 for Revenge. Fun couple little spaghetti western features there. Here's a double feature of Kelly's Heroes and Where Eagles Dare. Couple Clint Eastwood war movies. Yeah, the problem with these two films, I love them. They're good movies, don't get me wrong, but you start to get into this. I talked about this a little bit with the King Kong of Skull Island thing. You get into these action movies where nothing's going to happen to the main characters, and they're indestructible, if you will. And you kind of get that kind of feeling with some of these type movies. A masterpiece. I don't know if it's a masterpiece, but it's a hell of a good movie. That is Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis. He was incredible as Abraham Lincoln. Another Civil War. I was definitely on a Civil War roll there for quite a while. Here is the Long Life of Your Death release. I believe this is a Greek release. Yeah, it's from Greece. Let's see, it's in got a little sleeve over there. It's a DVD. But yeah, it's a good movie. Interesting release, too. No special features on it. But that is The Long Life, Your Death. The Longest Day. Excellent John Wayne film. Yeah. D-Day. I mean, this is probably the definitive movie about D-Day. Saving Private Ryan's good. Excellent movie, too. Don't get me wrong, but I think that's the definitive version. Mark Wahlberg in Lone Survivor. It was a good movie. Really good movie. I enjoyed it. Now, here's a film I did a full review of that probably won't resonate with people born after the mid-70s, but that's MASH. The movie, of course, set off the most famous TV show of all time, or one of the most famous TV shows of all time. MASH ran for, my God, my whole childhood and through my teenage years. But yeah, this is the movie that started it all. Donald Sutherland and Elliot Gould. The Man with No Name trilogy. Sergio Leone's three masterpieces. What can you say about these films other than they're damn good viewing if you love spaghetti westerns? Got that at Best Buy for like $9. Midway. Excellent film. Charlton Heston is awesome in it. And Midway, the Pacific War, World War II. Monuments Men. This is a good movie. It's about, back in World War II, the Nazis were capturing and kind of pilfering all the artwork and everything of any value throughout Europe, and these guys are on a mission to try to capture it back in the middle of a war. So it's a pretty good movie. Outlaw Josey Wales. That's probably my favorite Clint Eastwood movie. Next to Unforgiven, I would say this is my favorite Clint Eastwood Western. Outlaw Josey Wales, man. He's a badass. Kirk Douglas and Paths of Glory, an anti-war film. Kubrick's anti-war film. It's set in France, and it's a masterpiece. Definitely recommended viewing. Paths of Glory. Pale Rider. Another kind of a revenge western. Excellent. I mean, Clint Eastwood was born to make westerns. He really was. And probably the greatest, my favorite war movie of all time, The Thin Red Line. Terrence Malick's beautiful cinematographic masterpiece. If you haven't seen this, man, do yourself a favor and just go get it. Go watch it. It's a Criterion release. I'd be hard-pressed to argue against this film as the #1 Clint Eastwood Western. That's Unforgiven. Very, very close with Pale Rider, I would think. I have a couple copies of this. I got The Magnificent Seven as an individual release. And then I've got it in the collection that I bought from Best Buy. This is the Magnificent Seven collection with Yul Brynner. Good stuff. and Sam Peckinpah's masterpiece, The Wild Bunch. This movie really kind of set a precedent. You could argue it set a precedent of violence in film, no holds barred violence. You could certainly make a case that this is the film that kind of started all that. And finally, my cherished possession. This is my favorite. Just love this box. This is the 150th commemoration of the Gettysburg and Gods and Generals box set. Oh my gosh, I love these two movies. These are my favorite two war movies. Ted Turner's epics regarding the Civil War, starting with Gods and Generals. You got Dr. Lee. Jesus Christ. You got General Lee with the Southern troops kind of advancing and making all these successful victories against really insurmountable odds in some cases, followed by their comeuppance in Gettysburg. And the film, not only is it a great piece of war action, but it's also one of the best war movies that I think focuses on the strategic side of war without being boring. There was not a single minute of this 3.5. I think both these movies are like 3 or 4 hours long. I wasn't bored for a nanosecond, even though there's quite a bit of dialogue, quite a bit of strategy, back and forth on both sides, talking about how we're going to respond to this action or that action. So yeah, I just love it. It's got I don't even know honestly if this box set's available anymore, but it's got a whole slew of collectibles. There's just maps. There's all kinds of maps and things in here, and of course here's the two DVDs. Robert Duvall was just awesome as General Lee. Oh my gosh, love it, love it. Do yourself a favor if you have any interest at all in the Civil War. You might want to watch that 7-part documentary, but check these out. These are just awesome stuff. Okay, that is it for part 8 or 9. I think it's 9 of my collection, which was the War and Western section. We're gonna move on to action superhero stuff, and then I think next up would be after that would be the Universal Golden Age horror movies. And then I can either do Euro Giallo or my drama action section. And then there's kind of cleanup stuff. I got Vincent Price as a section, Paul Naschy. And then I've got a massive, not massive, there's about 500, I would say, unwatched Blu-rays and DVDs that I've kind of shown those through some of the purchasing updates, but certainly not all of them. In fact, in the war section, I've got Tora that I got to watch. And there's something else that, I got a bunch of other war stuff. It's just in the unwatched section. So, yeah, we'll get to it when I get to it. But these are things I've watched. And when I say I've watched it in entirety. All the special features, any audio commentary. So I don't just watch the movie and file it. It doesn't get filed until I've kind of gone through the whole thing. It's very rare that I watch something unless it's just total shit and totally uninteresting me. It happens where there's movies that I just don't like, and they've got audio commentaries and things, and I'll scrap it. But that's very, very rare. I'll at least give it a shot and listen to it. So, all right, well, that is it for the War Western part of my collection, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks.